Yes, it's time for this video. After a few uploads related to the truth about the moon and the sun, now we need to talk about the most important subject of them all. We need to talk about the shape of the Earth. 3 years ago, my brother sent me a video trying to convince me that the Earth is definitely not a globe. Like everybody else, I shook my head and I started looking for arguments to prove him wrong. And like everybody else, I failed, and that's how I learned the truth. By simply trying to debunk his theory. This video is about the truth. It's not just about what Earth really is, but also about your place in life and in this physical realm. This video might be a start of a very long journey for you that could potentially change your life. I'm not exaggerating. Be warned that there is no turning back. Once you learn about what I have to tell you here, you'll never fit in again together with the normies and the NPCs of this world. What I have to present here cannot be unseen and unlearned. Most of you will not be ready for this video, so I suggest set aside a few hours to watch and analyze everything I present here. Your understanding of the Earth is intertwined with your identity, and me separating these two will cause pain. I want you to think twice before you continue watching this video. It will be an important video, but also a very intelligent one, and we're going to deal here with real science. You can use this video as a measuring tool for your indoctrination when confronted with facts and logic. It can help you acknowledge and understand your place in this reality, hopefully letting you unplug from the system. I used to think that it's enough to present rational evidence so that people can change their minds. Today I know that it's almost never the case, because people are emotional creatures driven by cognitive bias, herd mentality, and emotional attachments that stand in the way of learning and accepting the truth. But if you do open up to what I have to tell you today, this will be the last time when you erroneously think that you live on a spinning ball. Whatever your ideology is, I want you to put it aside while watching this. This is not a debate video, as there is nothing to debate. I'm not here to promote any ideology other than helping you to see the truth. I'm not employed or paid by anyone, as I do this out of genuine concern for your well-being. I'm going to tell you the truth even though it might upset you, because nobody else is going to do it. I want you to be liberated, and it's possible that I will trigger a lot of anger in those who realize that they were lied to, but also in those who are ignorant and close-minded. And that's why I don't want this video to become the most downvoted one here. So I want to ask you to stay with me only if you know that you don't have sufficient knowledge, and only if you want to learn. I did the research for you, and I want to share the results with you. Everybody else, I want you to understand that you're not welcome here, and I encourage you to watch something else instead. If you leave offensive or derogatory comments, you will only advertise yourself to everybody here as an ignorant and religious fanatic, and you will be banned. This community and the content here is reserved for the most open-minded ones, and this video will be a test for you to learn about which group you belong to. Accept it quietly, as I don't want you to tell me that this video discredits my integrity or that you want to unsubscribe. It is none of my business. But it is my job to awaken you from the illusion, and it is your job to learn so that you can help others, for all of us to develop and carry on with this earthly training. That's the agreement you get yourself into here by staying, and I want you to stick to it. I'll repeat one more time. If you're convinced that you live on a planet and you're here to shout at others about it according to your ego-driven agenda, move on and watch something else instead. This video won't be for you. Everybody else? Let's start with a series of tests to help you understand what is going on inside of your head and why you are so lost. Test number 1. I want you now to answer 5 questions that will examine your knowledge about planet Earth you supposedly live on. Memorize how many you can answer. What is the circumference of the Earth? What is the equatorial diameter of Earth? What is the radius of Earth? What is the equation that measures the curvature of the Earth? What is the speed of rotation of Earth on its axis and around the Sun? Test number 2. Look at this screen. Only one of these pictures is a photography, and the other ones were computer generated. Which one is which? Test number 3. Name these planets. Test number 4. I want you to think about anything that will prove that the Earth is a globe without using any information provided to you by an institution or an organization. Take as much time as you need. Before I give you the answers, I want to appeal to your sense of gratitude and ask you to support this channel. All my content is free, and I want you to show your appreciation for these videos. There are plenty of simple donation and membership methods like Patreon, Subscribestar, PayPal, Cash App, bank, and crypto transfers. If you want to talk to me about what you learned here today or anything else, schedule a chat. You can also buy merchandise. All links below. Thank you for all your support. You can look at the screen now to get the answers. It's safe to say that you probably failed all 4 tests. Most people who need to answer the basic questions about the measurements of the Earth do not have a clue what they are. The pictures you saw in test 2 were all computer generated, and the planets in test 3 are in reality all frying pans. I lied to you to show you how easy it is to fool you and how eagerly you believe the words of someone who is an authority figure. You also failed test number 4, as you cannot come up with a single scientifically measurable proof for globular Earth. So now let's summarize what we learned about you doing these tests. First of all, you do not have any knowledge about where you live, as you probably never analyzed or scrutinized the information that was offered to you at school. You don't remember any of it. It means that whoever offers you any information regarding the shape of the Earth is your teacher and you're a student. I want you to understand the dynamics between us here. The fact that you couldn't identify photography, because there was none, proves that you cannot distinguish between illusion and reality. What's more, you can easily be convinced of something that is not true or even ridiculous only because someone said so, which effectively means that you rarely apply critical thinking. It's understandable, as life can be hectic and busy, no judgment here, which brings me to your last realization. Test number 4 and the premise of this video. Even if you came up with a proof that the Earth is a globe, you're wrong, because there is no evidence anywhere of that being the case. It just doesn't exist, never did, and never will. Some of you might say that it's something like the boats disappearing over the horizon, but that can be, as always, easily disproved with the right optical equipment. No matter how long you think about it, you'll never come up with anything that you see, hear, or feel that will confirm the existence of the globe. Everything you believe proves that this is a planet actually proves it being a flat plane, like in the case of compass, radar, seasons, star constellations, and so on. There are no scientific experiments, no equations, calculations, nor measurements that can be done to justify the existence of spherical Earth. It might surprise or shock you, but that's an indisputable fact. Yet, there is an endless number of scientific experiments, equations, calculations, and measurements that prove Earth not being a globe. And although in this video I don't want to waste time on showing you too many of them, I can give you a link to a 2-hour video that can coherently explain it. You can watch it after finishing this presentation, or maybe do it now and come back to this video. It explains logically and scientifically everything that's wrong with the globe Earth theory. The link is in the description. The proof is undeniable, and you can measure and confirm everything yourself, eventually coming to the same conclusion as I did. It won't be a surprise for you to learn at this stage that you live on a flat, stationary, and geocentric Earth. It is not hollow, potato, or pear-shaped. It is flat. It is a simple and obvious fact, and saying it is not true is like saying that the floor of the room you're in now can be round. But something happened during our development where we stopped trusting our logic and our senses. And I'm here to show you how and why it happened, why you were lied to, how they did it, and why it matters. I know you're dying to learn about some examples, as that's what you came here for, so let's look at it from a victim's perspective, because that's what we collectively are or were to the point of waking up. We need to admit that we're uneducated, but the important question that we need to ask ourselves is, what stops us from questioning what we learn at school? There is no proof for round Earth anywhere. You can't see the curvature, you can't feel the movement, you can't measure gravity, you can't go to space. All of it doesn't exist and never will, yet we believed in everything they taught us. They convinced us against common sense and laws of physics that water can stick to a rock and that it curves. Water doesn't curve, never will, and there is no example of this anywhere in nature. There are no tests that will prove Earth's movement, and when you get on a train like the Japanese speed train Shinkansen, you start having problems walking only at the speed of 200 miles per hour. But the Earth allegedly spins at 1040 miles per hour. The Sun moves around the center of Milky Way at the speed of 500,000 miles per hour, and our galaxy travels at around 1.36 million miles per hour relative to the cosmic background radiation that permeates the universe. Can you do the math? The Earth hurls through space millions of miles per day Everything around us allegedly expands, but for some unexplained reason, the stars we see above our head are perfectly still and the constellations haven't changed for thousands of years. This makes zero sense, and yet we believe in it. How can we be so illogical, accepting so many weird contradictions? Have you thought about the whole idea behind the ability of a plane to fly if the Earth was curved? On a globe, a plane flying from London to New York would have to constantly lower its altitude by about 1.15 miles every 10 minutes, not to fly out into space, ending up 220 miles above Earth at the end of the flight. There's no system or device like that to compensate for Earth's curvature on any plane. In fact, the whole concept behind a plane being able to fly is based on a stationary, non-rotating Earth. If it wasn't the case, a commercial airliner could never reach its destination as the Earth, according to official measurements, rotates faster than the speed of the plane. Don't let anyone tell you that planes move with the atmosphere or some other absurdity. The atmosphere rotating in sync with the Earth violates all laws of physics. Atmospheric gases would need to have properties of a solid object to do that. There's also a lot of cases of emergency landings in absolutely impassable locations that make no sense on the globe. Yet they make perfect sense when you're looking at the map of a flat world. It happened to me, and I included that story in one of my previous videos. Every engineer who wants to construct or build any structure needs to assume that the Earth is leveled and stationary. You can't build anything without that. Ironically, NASA uses the same presumption in their engineering documents. What is wrong with humans as a species that this lie has been told to so many of our ancestors, yet no one has ever analyzed it to warn us that it makes no sense? All of our history is about Earth being a flat plane. The Bible is about that, cover to cover. It's only been about 100 years that they've been pushing this heliocentric nonsense ideology on us, and every ancient religion understands that it made perfect sense that the Earth was stationary and leveled. Why hasn't anyone told us that air and ocean currents, seasons, temperatures, flight patterns, and intercontinental shipping routes make no sense until placed on a flat Earth map? How come no one has ever questioned it? What have they done to us to make us so blind that we don't even look around? How is it possible that no one realized that when we're looking at the moon, we actually see a map of flat Earth with all the continents right there in front of our eyes every night? If you need to know more, go and watch the video I made about it 2 years ago. In fact, it is possible to see the same moon at the same time from two opposite sides of the globe. How can we not see that every 69 miles there should be a 1 degree drop in elevation, which equals a 26 feet drop every 62 miles? If there was a curve and if we were standing at the beach looking at the sunset, the sun would start going behind the horizon about 3 miles ahead of you. In order to see a line of light on the ocean's surface at the sunset, you need to be on a flat plane, otherwise the sun's reflection is going to be a dot of light behind the horizon. You would never get to see it. It's simple laws of physics and optics. Why do we believe so easily in the impossible? Why are we so dumb and illogical? We have barometers, yet we do not connect the dots to realize that atmospheric pressure requires a container. You can't have pressurized environment right next to the vacuum. According to the basic laws of physics, everything on Earth would be sucked out immediately into space if that was true. Not to mention that water in vacuum boils at room temperature. How can we be so naive? It's really embarrassing to believe all of this once we know that we're being lied to. We live in an imaginary world that was created for us. If the Earth was a globe, the sunrise would look completely different because it will all be lit up from the bottom up. It would look like this, but it doesn't. You probably don't know that, but every year on July the 8th at 11:15 a.m., almost everyone on Earth, except for Australia and New Zealand, either can see the sun or the twilight. It happens every year and it's impossible if we were on a ball, but it's perfectly understandable when looking at it from a stationary disk's perspective. What happened to us that we believe the TV more than we believe our own eyes? If no one told you that the Earth was a ball, you would know that it's flat. This would be the most preposterous and idiotic conspiracy to believe in, if we were not indoctrinated. Would you believe now it was a square or a triangle? If not, then why would you believe that it is a sphere? There is no evidence of it being any of these three shapes. The most distant visible mountains are located hundreds of miles away from us, like in the case of Pic Gaspard in French Alps, visible from Finestrelle in Pyrenees. The mountain should be hidden under 9.5 miles of curvature, but it's not. In fact, when using IR camera on a plane, we can see hundreds of miles into the distance with no problem. All of this should be impossible on a ball. How are we not angry about being lied to and deceived? Did you know that nobody is allowed to explore Antarctica and South Pole? It is the only treaty that every single country, no matter how hostile to each other, agreed to, and it is magically respected to this day. You can't go outside. They won't let you, and they can kill you if you try to. And they explained it away with a naive fairy tale about protecting the penguins. Why is it easier to fool us than to convince us that we were fooled in the first place? There are 3 astronauts who on camera said that the Earth is either flat or that we've never been to space. Miroslav Hermaszewski, Igor Folk, and Buzz Aldrin. Look it up yourself. There is no known source of gravity, and the definition of it is used actually only for the purpose of explaining spherical Earth. Gravity cannot be defined or measured mathematically, logically, nor empirically, as there is no magnetic field affecting the kinetic properties of organic matter. It is simply the density of objects, and that's the only law of physics that explains why everything falls to the ground. Why don't we realize that there are no ball-shaped magnets? For an object to have a north and south pole, it needs to be in the shape of a bar or a ring, which perfectly correlates with a flat world concept. It is also impossible to have a liquid metal Earth core, as the theorized source of gravity, because all materials lose their magnetic properties in liquid state. What did they do to us to switch off our ability to see mockery and evil? It was 1666 when, for the first time, an eclipse was recorded. This was the same year when Isaac Newton claimed to have discovered gravity. We're on a tilt of 66.6 degrees, and we're circling around the sun at the speed of 66,600 miles an hour. We're being laughed at, and they're not even trying to hide it from us. They even use flat maps of Earth in their logos, like in the case of the United Nations. It's right in front of your eyes. And these are just a few small examples, as you can see in the 200 proofs video. And many new ones are being discovered every day. It never ends. This lie is getting more and more ridiculous, especially that today anyone can set a balloon up in space and see the view from 22 miles above Earth. Many of these videos were recorded, and of course there is no curvature anywhere unless the media wants to lie to you, showing you the same footage but taken with a fisheye lens. According to the visibility equation, we should be able to see hundreds of miles of curvature in every direction, and the ball-shaped horizon should be far away from us, getting smaller with every mile of altitude. But that's not the case. You're confronted with 2 Earth models, and one of them must be a lie of enormous proportions. It's actually not about the shape of the Earth, but the size of the lie, as this is the mother of all lies. The lie is so big that even conspiracies won't touch it. How come I spent 2 decades researching all possible conspiracies, yet not once did flat Earth cross my path? Why are presidents, politicians, YouTube and Wikipedia constantly warning you about flat Earth? There is no orchestrated effort trying to debunk ghosts, Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster. Why is the shape of the Earth an exception? Because you're observing establishment panic as everybody's waking up to this truth. You do know that you live in a world based on deception. I made a video about this a few years ago, and you should watch it if you haven't yet. If you would like to know your place in this system of lies, watch the video called The Steps of Awakening. There is also a video I made called The Matrix. This current human installation, for some reason, is entirely based on lies. The lies are designed in a way to become a ticket to join society. You sacrifice your sanity and your normalcy, and as a result of this, you're damaged by being a victim of one of the most psychologically disruptive mechanisms of trauma-based mind control. You're subject to primitive ideology of servitude and slavery, where your education is fully controlled and robs you of the ability to be smart and aware of your environment. It is the biggest and the most successful lie in our history. You were trained not to trust your senses and logic, and you're conditioned to turn to authority for even the simplest answers, acting against your common sense and audiovisual perception. The lies defend themselves as they were designed in a way so that society can police itself. It's all based on our need to be accepted and respected, and to do this, we rely on groupthink. We even measure and define our sanity by comparing the ideology and knowledge we have to that of a given social cell we're in. This is the mechanism that allows us to be perfectly adjusted to a sick and delusional collective. If you want to test yourself, think how many people you can send this video to without being criticized or even losing the relationship altogether. But a lie is a lie, even when it is believed by everybody. So let's look now at a profile of a typical believer in spherical Earth. There are only two possibilities for someone to be a globe earther. Either they never had a chance to analyze the heliocentric model of Earth, or they are not smart and open-minded enough to understand the truth. Remember that majority of people in the world are not intelligent. In fact, most of them are so unintelligent that they are a threat to themselves and everyone around them. There's only a handful of logically thinking members of our society who push the world forward, but the rest is closed-minded and very easy to indoctrinate, and we're talking about 95% of society. Here's the difference between the smart ones and the rest. The smart ones do not believe they're on a leveled plane. They see, feel, and know that's where they are, and whether you like it or not, you're one of them yourself, as that's the reality you live in. Everything around you proves that. It is those who think they live on a globe who are the true believers, because they represent an ideology without any foundations. There's no possibility logically and scientifically to defend the existence of a globe, and that's a fact. We all see the same evidence around us, and the only difference is your interpretation. There's no possibility for an intelligent human being to look into the matter of the shape of the Earth and still believe it is round. The belief in globe Earth is all about emotions. The understanding of flat Earth is about science, and everyone who knows only a fraction of what we know will immediately have to convert to the truth. Globe Earth is a faith-based religion, and most people don't even know that all of this was actually created by Jesuit priests. Planet Earth theorists are convinced that they believe in science, but in reality, they're part of a cult representing scientism, a pseudo-intellectual religion based on indoctrination and lies, where you're not allowed to question any irrational inconsistencies. The globe, quote-unquote science, is a grotesque parody of logic. It's scientism mixed with a big dose of denialism. Those who believe in this heresy, unfortunately, will believe in anything as they are fully in control of the deceivers. The belief in the globe is an anti-spiritual religion for lost people. Those who believe in the globe automatically believe in the government, and everything can be done to them. The real problem are not the people who don't know the facts about the Earth. Not knowing the truth isn't about being ignorant. It's actually not wanting to know the truth. It's the ones arguing against Earth being a flat plane who are responsible for everything that's wrong with the world. They are the most problematic ones who are lazy and dismissive, as it is easier for them to laugh rather than do any research, which inevitably would lead to them rejecting the globe assumption, given they have the intellectual capacity for this. They are the people who desperately hold on to a childish ideology that was offered to them when they were 7 years old. Being a globe earther is like being a grown-up and still believing in Santa Claus. They live in their imagination as they were conditioned to have a Pavlovian response that is beyond their control. Most of these people also have a false perception of the institutions shaping their lives. Schools, universities, and government agencies are not there to protect them, but to exploit and deceive. They don't know that they went through several indoctrination camps. Their psyche was shaped to follow orders from authority by being rewarded for repeating anything they're told. After 18 years of education, all they know are lies, and that's what the educational system is for. But it's absolutely shocking how many people feel intellectually superior simply regurgitating what the establishment brainwashed them to think. There are plenty of intellectuals who will never reach their full potential because of their addiction to following the authority dogmas, and I know too many of them. It's astounding how their understanding of reality is solely based on unverified information. And they flat out refuse to look into the matter when asked. It's very difficult for them to grow up and face the real world they live in. Those who desperately hold on to the globe and don't understand their reality are slaves, and the more they resist, the deeper they put themselves into voluntary prison, dragging behind the rest of society with them. These are the people who I didn't want to watch the video. So what is the profile of an average flat earther? we're taught very early to accept flat world as a primitive theory believed in by the savages of the past. It is synonymous with stupidity, compared first to being a communist, then a Trump supporter, and now a Putin-controlled shill. In fact, not believing in spherical Earth is worse than being a conspiracy theorist, a phrase that is a conspiracy in itself as it was popularized artificially by CIA in the 1960s to discredit those who are telling the truth the government doesn't want anybody to know about. Leveled plain belief is touted to be the most archaic and primitive theory and the domain of the stupid and uneducated, although the truth is the exact opposite. The understanding of non-rotating stationary Earth is grown-up science and reality for adults. When talking to someone who understands the reality, you're in the presence of a person who belongs to the group of the smartest people in the world. Someone who doesn't necessarily need to have the highest IQ, but can connect the dots and is not afraid to open their mind and analyze contradicting theories. Being the proverbial tinfoil hat means months or even years of meticulous research, gathering as much information from as many sources as possible, analyzing and processing complex and conflicting assumptions and facts. An average flat earther knows more about what globe earthers believe because all of them used to be globe earth believers first. We have a huge advantage over the rest of the population by being skeptical and suspicious. You need to understand that we're not here to lie to you and we're not the enemy. We just broke out from the cult and we're trying to help you do the same. All it takes to become one of us is literally 10 minutes of trying to prove that the Earth is a globe, and you will quickly realize that it is impossible. We all have the same in common. We all thought the Earth was a globe, we all laughed at the Earth being a disk, we all did a lot of research, and we all know we can never go back to the globe fairy tale. You need to understand that we try to free science from manipulation and stupidity because, ironically, those with fancy scientific titles are usually the most indoctrinated ones who are paid for and cannot be trusted. We're doing their job, but honestly and rationally. We don't have all the answers. In fact, there are so many lies that we know very little. But what we do know is true, and we still know much more than an average person that has the illusion of knowledge. It is better to have questions that can be answered than answers that can be questioned. We're here to discover the truth about our world and its governing laws of physics. Because you cannot scientifically defend spherical Earth, they use the method of ridiculing the truth, which is much faster and cheaper than trying to debate the issue with us. I'm brave enough to be called crazy. I don't care. When we're being ridiculed, that's a win for us because we can easily identify who we're dealing with, and the ones who call us names are usually the lowest intellectual part of our society. Close-minded ignorance I talked about earlier. And if they do it, that means they already lost the argument because they do it to stop us from debating them, as that's something they're not capable of. They can call us any names, but the hell they live in is much worse than constantly being unreasonably ostracized. It's a lonely place to be a flat earther, and no one wants to be that. It takes a lot of guts to stand your ground and talk about what is real, but have confidence in your intellect and your logic. Trust that you're smart, knowing that the understanding of the shape of the Earth is incredibly important. Much more important than your ego's problem with being shamed and ridiculed. After months or even years of research, gathering as much info from as many sources as possible, analyzing and processing complex and conflicting theories, you'll have to experience ridicule from the least intelligent part of society who does and understands nothing. But understanding that the Earth is not a sphere means being a free man, as only the fully indoctrinated believe in the globe. The number of us is increasing rapidly with more and more logical arguments and observations resurfacing that cannot be refuted by globe believers. So why does it all matter? Because it is a mental health issue. If somebody is asking, what difference does it make? It means they're already psychologically damaged and indoctrinated. The truth and the quality of their life is secondary to them. It's more of a cynical defense mechanism rather than a question. How are you supposed to understand the metaphysical if you do not understand the basic physics of this world? You don't know where, why, and who you are here. There are many reasons why it matters, and one of them is that you have a powerful creative mind they don't want you to be aware of. They steal your time and energy because the lie makes you an unconscious servant to the system. This seemingly most ridiculous of all subjects is, in reality, one of the most important ones. Why it matters? You don't care about your reality? Then what do you care about? Remember that there's no atheism in adult life. You choose what you worship. That means for you there's nothing beyond the material. If you don't care about your reality and who created it, then you're okay with being a voluntary slave. That means you worship the government. And then you might ask, why would they lie to us? When was the last time the government didn't lie to us? That's the real question you need to ask yourself. The definition of a government is to lie. Are you happy to work 4 months every year for free? Do you like paying a fortune for your gas and electricity? This is the result of the lie. The government robs you of your freedom. Freedom to build communities instead of societies. Freedom to create a world with no wars, no poverty and misery, and freedom to be the best version of yourself. Then there's the argument of this being too big to be a conspiracy, and that's usually an excuse of a very ignorant mind. If you think that it's too big to be a lie, then imagine how the world works if, in fact, almost everything they teach us is a lie, not just the shape of the world. The fact of the matter is that this is too big to be ignored, as they want you to be a part of the creation process of Prison Planet, and your silence means yes to all of this. There might be a time in the future when your willingness to understand the shape of the earth will decide about your survival. You will be forced to pick a side that will determine if you will live. We've already been through a test of this during the intellectual lockdown that started in 2020. The shape of the earth is the foundation upon which all lies are built, and once removed, the whole structure of deception will crumble and fall to the ground. Once you expose the earth lie, you can move on to exposing the financial and political systems, the truth about society, the origin of life, and then you get to discover where you really came from and who you are. And then you'll find out that everything else is a lie. Big Bang, dark matter, stars, evolution, gravity, the romanticized vastness of space, galaxies, black holes, solar flares, speed of light, all a big fairy tale. Stationary geocentric Earth opens the door to real education and the truth about life. The truth about all the land that is outside of the known Earth circle, the land you're not allowed to go to. We live in a designed and engineered home, just for you. It has the right temperature, the right pressure, radiation, sun exposure, and so on. It is a mathematical and physical impossibility for this to be a coincidence. They want you to think that all of it is a result of insignificant chaos, while the opposite is true. Everything is based on harmony, and you are the tuning fork for this reality. They want you to live in an imaginary world, a world where everything is owned and registered, where they can own nature, where you will own very little, but where eventually you own nothing and you're not happy. They don't want you to know that all of the Earth's wealth belongs to us. They don't want you to know that you're the rightful owner of everything this world has to offer. The Earth was stolen from us. You are lied to and governed by parasites who feed off of your naivety and indifference to suffering. The Earth is ours and we have to take it back. Now that you know the truth, you need to decide what to do with it. Because if the world was created for you, then it must have a creator, and you need to shift your perception of your life in that direction. And that is the metaphysical aspect of reality you're a part of, whether you like it or not. Our responsibility is to initiate the biggest ideological conversion in history. We have to be quick. We don't have much time. What is necessary to free ourselves from servitude of deception is knowledge, not weapons. They don't have the power to enslave you, so they use media, educational institutions, and the government to let you enslave yourself. You don't need to subscribe to their illusion, and they don't control your free will to be rational and self-educated. You did not evolve from a monkey. You don't live on a spinning globe. There is no space. Earth was created for you with all it has to offer so that you can thrive and develop here. It's time for you to take action and do something. This is your spiritual responsibility and duty. Start from sharing this video and other videos about the true shape of the earth with everyone you know and care about, ignoring your installed fear of ridicule. Educate yourself by watching these YouTube channels. Do not let them take away your life in the name of evil ideology of deception and slavery. It is not too late. It is still legal to wake up and think for yourself. I've put a lot of time and energy into this video, and if it helped you in any way, please sponsor this channel. It is simple and easy, and any amount will do. You can schedule a chat or buy merchandise. All links below. Thank you. Don't forget to subscribe and follow. Like this video and share it with everyone you care about. For merchandise, go to shop.b434.com. leave your email address at news.b434.com. Visit the website of the artist and the musician I featured here. For more info or contact, visit b434.com and join 434's social media on YouTube, Facebook, BitChute, Instagram, Snapchat, Twitter, Reddit, Discord, Telegram, VK, TikTok, Tumblr, LinkedIn, Dailymotion, and a few other ones you can see on the screen now. All links in the video description and at b434.com.